If you have a $2.5 million budget for a single family home and you're searching in San Francisco and you keep losing offers, I want to show you something that most agents aren't going to tell you about. It's almost never your budget. And honestly, this goes for all price points, but it's where you're shopping with that budget. What prompted me to do this video? This is not our main price point. We certainly work in it, but I just started wondering the other day as I was, looking through all of the transactions that we're doing, and I was like, can you even get a single family home anymore in San Francisco for under $2.5 million? That was my question that prompted this video. So I jumped into MLS and I decided to look citywide. Now, I was focusing on 3-bedroom homes, and I got a list, I ran the numbers. There are certain caps on prices where it's really hard, and 2.5 is one, 4 million in certain parts of the city is another, 6 million in certain parts of the city is another, and on we go. If this video is helpful for you, I can do more videos in other ranges, but I wanted to start with this range because honestly, I feel sad that it's hard to buy a starter home right now in San Francisco. And some of you might be laughing like, what? $2.5 million is a starter home? Yes, it is. But some of these homes, I'm going to show you some homes today, and some of them are actually like end homes. It just depends on the neighborhood that you're shopping in. So in the most popular centrally located neighborhoods that have walkability and sun, it is completely out of the question in 2026 to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath for $2.5 million. But there are some really great neighborhoods with really great homes and that you can buy within that budget. And today I'm going to break down for you what those neighborhoods are. We're going to look at percentages of selling over list price, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about those neighborhoods. To be clear, you absolutely can buy a condo in this price point or a TIC in many of those neighborhoods, obviously depending on the size that you're looking for. So that's going to be a conversation for another day. Happy to do that video too. I have to do a video every week. So let me know if that's a video you want to see. So when I looked, there was 101 sales, and then I cross-referenced what buyers are actually paying over the list price and neighborhood by neighborhood. And the numbers were pretty striking. So Parkside, buyers are paying an average of 30% over list. Excelsior, 26% over list. Bernal, 23% over list. Now keep in mind, when I'm saying these numbers, these are all for this price band. In Sunnyside, every single sale that closed this year in this price band, 100% of them closed over asking. But in the Outer Richmond, it was 16% over list price. So the interesting thing is about that is Outer Richmond is actually the neighborhood with the highest median price of all of the neighborhoods that came up on this list. Same $2.5 million budget, 2 completely different data points. That's a spread that creates an interesting variable that I don't think most buyers are tracking. And once you see it, your offer strategy, or maybe where you're shopping, or the way that you're thinking about how you're spending money is going to change overnight. Let me ask you this. What is the biggest thing that is going to make you hate life as a buyer? So I'll tell you. It's having a budget that ends right at the point where the houses that you keep wanting are selling. So in other words, if you're looking in a neighborhood like the Outer Richmond, which has the highest price of those listed, then you'll find that more often than not, if your budget ends at 2.5, you're not going to be poised to compete enough to win in multiple offer situations. All right, I have another tip for you. If you want to set yourself up for success, then try looking in a neighborhood where you have some wiggle room. This is going to be really important. That's the wiggle room that you're going to need to increase as the prices rise. And the more competitive the situation is, the more likely that they will rise above the comps. But for the sake of this conversation, I would say if you can create like a $500,000 wiggle room, where when I say that, it's like the majority of homes that you're looking at, if your top is 2.5, the majority of homes in that neighborhood are selling for 2, right? So without that wiggle room, you're going to find yourself constantly unable to push the extra $200,000 more that it takes to win. And here's the thing that I'm seeing in 2026, and the team is doing a tremendous amount of business this year. Let's see, it is May 8th right now, and this is going to be embarrassing because we're probably going to publish this like in June 8th or something. It takes a while to get a video out. We've sold 67 homes so far this year, and what I'm seeing right now is that it used to be that in a multiple offer situation, or when you were getting a best and final, or when you were trying to like beat another offer, you could do it by like 50 or 75,000. Now the buyers that we're competing against, they're coming up like 200, 300,000. So what do we have to tell our buyers? We have to tell our buyers that they have to anticipate that as well. So that's what they're doing to win. The competition is more fierce than I have ever seen it in 17 years. But anyway, I'm going to show you the tiers, and we'll get into that in a minute in terms of like what neighborhoods should you focus on depending on where your budget is and where will your money go the furthest. So the other thing that you're going to see is you're going to see a really wide variety of what you can buy, even in the bands in this neighborhood. And I'm going to show you a neighborhood where you can actually get double the house that you could get in a different neighborhood, all within the same band. So, and lastly, I'm gonna teach you about something that I totally made up called competition tax. The other day, we sold a house in Noe Valley, and when we were doing the comps with the client, we told them, look, where this house is gonna sell is going to depend on how many people show up on offer date. If only a couple of people show up, we anticipate that you're going to need to pay $3.2 to $3.4 million. If 10 plus people show up, we're anticipating that you're going to need to pay like $3.6 to $3.8 million. That's a huge difference. Luckily for them, especially because they weren't willing to go into that upper tier for this particular house, luckily for them, only 2 people showed up. So they were able to secure the house for $3.4 million. What I see happens over and over again is that the more offers that are showing up, the more the nuances in the comps just get thrown out the door. What do I mean by that? So typically a house that is selling on a very steep street, that's a nuance, right? That would affect the price. It would sell differently than a house that sold on a flat street that was really walkable to the main corridor. Right now, I'm not seeing those nuances. If there's competition, like massive competition. If there's not, then yes, those nuances show up again. So if you want to spend less money, then focusing on houses that aren't massively underpriced and going to get all of that competition is actually going to help you spend less money. But that's hard to do because so many people are pricing that way. And I know as buyers, I was gonna say you get frustrated by it, but actually I think it's become such commonplace now. It's really what is being expected. I mean, depending on the neighborhood, especially like with us, we sit down with you and we do a lot of data dumping up front to help you understand what you're going to anticipate coming in. I mean, maybe when you first meet with us, it's not unusual for somebody to be like, oh, I want to look in a $3 million budget, and here's some homes that I see listed at $3 million that I want to buy. And then they're listed, right? And then we show them like, actually those homes could sell for $5 million, and here's what a $3 million home looks like. And there's a whole huge exercise that we go through with you. But what I find is that at least the buyers that are working with really great agents, definitely the buyers that are working on my team, they get the underpricing strategy. And unfortunately, like we have a listing that went live today and it's going to sell in the 4s, and we priced it at $2,895. Why? Well, because there was a house that was in a better location that was the same size that was priced at $3. And so we couldn't be over that price. Now that price that was priced at $3 is in contract for $4.8 million, actually with one of our buyers. And they got 8 offers. So if we price that above that house, then we look overpriced. So it's like, as a listing agent, you have to look where other things are priced in order to advise your sellers properly. Otherwise, you end up like our other buyer where they got into contract with, and there was only 2 offers and it didn't go to the high end of the range. But when you're on the buy side, I just want to teach you, I mean, you can't always control it because a lot of times the house that you love is going to be listed by a great agent that knows how to list a house in this current market and what to do in order to get their seller the highest price, in which case it could be the house that's going to get 10 offers, right? So, but you know, I just want to help teach you some nuances that can help you save money because that's what I'm here to help you do. So let's take a look at the averages. Again, this is only for homes that ended under that 2.5 price point. So Parkside, as I said, was 30% over asking, and that was on 91% of the homes. We're gonna go through 8 neighborhoods today, and these are the 8 neighborhoods where the inventory showed up. So Excelsior was 26% over asking, that was on 92% of the homes. Bernal Heights was 23% over asking, that was on 87% of the homes. Central Sunset was 22% over asking, that was on 91% of the homes. Sunnyside was 22% over asking. That was on 100% of the homes. Portola was 19% over asking. That was on 83% of the homes. And then Outer Richmond was 15.9 on 88% of the homes. So let's dive into those neighborhoods. Those are the neighborhoods. If you want to buy under 2.5 million and you're not looking at those neighborhoods, you're not getting a house. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that is the truth. This is when I'm looking like citywide, these are the neighborhoods where homes are selling in that price point. Okay, so we have a few tiers. We have the entry level tier, and this is gonna actually be under the $1.5 million price point. So that's gonna be Bayview, Crocker Amazon, Hunters Point, and Portola. I'm not gonna go into those neighborhoods as much today. We're gonna focus on the sweet spot and then the higher end in this tier. So that's $1.5 to $2 million is where the majority of those homes sold. And that's going to be Excelsior, Portola, Outer Mission, Central Sunset, and Mission Terrace. And then the upper range of this tier is $2 million to $2.5 million. And that's going to be Bernal Heights, Outer Richmond, Sunnyside, and Parkside. The upper range of this, that's going to be $2 to $2.5 million. That's going to be Bernal, Outer Richmond, Sunnyside, Inner Parkside, and Midtown Terrace. Okay, let's go neighborhood by neighborhood, and I'm going to give you the real numbers. We're going to talk about what homes actually close for, what's the competition like, who's the neighborhood for, like what are the pros and cons, and let's start with the 2 that had the most sales. Also, if all of this is too much to remember, just give me a call. We can talk through your specific situation in any budget that you have, and we'll go from there. Okay, so let's start with Parkside. It had the most closed sales in the homes that we pulled. There were 9 homes that sold under $2.5 million in 2026. Right? If you go back further, you're going to see a lot more. 2026 is a whole new world. So the median sales price came in at 188, and that means there's some wiggle room here for you. So if your price is 2.5, this is good, right? You should be able to find a good home there, and you're not scraping the ceiling and constantly missing everyone that you want. Now, the competition tax that we talked about, it's 17% over asking, which is moderate, I think, by San Francisco standards. So homes are moving, but you're not up against the kind of feeding frenzy that you're gonna see in some other neighborhoods that I'll show you in a little bit. Now let's take a look at what a home looks like there. Okay, so this is a home on 29th Avenue. Just to get our bearings here, let's look at the map. So you're pretty close to Noriega Street. You're not far from Sunset Boulevard. You've got the reservoir right here. Okay, so that's where we are located. And then this is what you get for 2350. So this was on the market for 3 days. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath home. It's 1,837 square feet. It was built in 1945. You can see it's actually a down to the studs renovation, like fully renovated. And you actually see a lot of these homes in Parkside where they have these like pretty nice renovations. They're developer flips, but they're, you know, not the same kind of developer flips. In this neighborhood, you see a lot of this. You've got a family room down, which is really nice. Another bedroom down here as well. Another bathroom down here. So this home checks a lot of boxes. You have a nice large backyard. It looks like the access to the backyard is only through that family room, which is better than if it was through, so you've got access there, which is better than if it was through a bedroom, which sometimes it is. That would make it sell for less, by the way. This backyard to me looks like a nice blank canvas. I don't know what's going on with that. I'd get rid of that, put some grass in there and just make it a little more appealing. But you can see the floor plan here, living room, dining room, open concept. You have an ensuite primary. You have another bedroom here with a bath here. And then you have another bedroom down below. So overall, pretty good floor plan. So a few things about Parkside housing stock. You know, that's kind of like a general floor plan where there's bedrooms up. You're gonna have them separated. You're not gonna have 3 bedrooms on one level. You don't get that. Sometimes you get a family room, sometimes you don't. Typically they were built between 1925 and 1950. A lot of times they have those stucco fronts. There's like, I mean, if we look at the street view here, this is a typical Parkside street view. Kind of overcast day. You've got some homes that are more run down, some that are a little bit more done. They're all kind of similar sizes, right? You've got the ocean in the background, right? So this is pretty much what you're gonna get. This is like a pretty typical Parkside view. I would say 1-car garages are really standard. Often there's like a bonus room down there, which means that it's not warranted. Sometimes it's an in-law where you can get some rental income. Definitely don't do that if it is not warranted. But you know, you could have an au pair down there, or you could have your parents down there, or a guest. I'd say the renovation quality really varies. You're getting like some newly done, like what I showed you, and some other ones that like need a lot of work. One thing that's really cool about that year of construction is that they used all of these like redwoods for the framing. So actually those hold up really well with pest. I mean, no one's using redwood in construction. Now it's all Doug fir, so it's actually like really good wood. So Parkside, it's a classic West Side San Francisco neighborhood. It's quiet, it's residential, it's car friendly. You're close to Ocean Beach, you're close to Golden Gate Park. You also have the L Muni line that's gonna be straight access to downtown, so there's good public transit out there. It's also gonna be pretty quick to get down to the freeway if you're commuting down south. There's also a couple other parks that are close by. You've got Stern Grove, which is where they have great music festivals all the time in the summer. There's Pine Lake Park that you could walk around. You're not far from Fort Funston, which there's a bunch of trails there that walk around along the ocean, and then you can watch what are they called? The cliff divers. You know what I'm saying? Oh, paragliders. That's what you can watch going off. I was just over there the other day and it's fun to watch them. There's also a couple of golf courses close by. You've got Harding Park, which is a public golf course that's at Lake Merced. And then there's the Olympic Club that's right there as well, which is a more private one. The honest trade-off is gonna be the fog. The commute is like not bad, but could be better. It's not a super walkable neighborhood for daily errands. You're gonna need a car. So again, as I mentioned when we started this video, like there are going to be some trade-offs in terms of you're not going to be in the center part of the city in a single family home in this price point. So this video is going to help you kind of break down some of the neighborhoods. And then we have videos, I think we have videos on all of these neighborhoods where you could do a deep dive, or again, you could just call us and we'll help. Okay, so the next one I have on the list is actually tied with Parkside, and that's the Excelsior. And there were 9 sales there as well. And the median sales price though is a little bit lower. It was a 1.66 million. So your money's gonna stretch a little farther there. So that sounds good, but here's the catch. Excelsior actually has the highest competition tax in the entire data set that we pulled. So homes on average are closing 26% over asking. So the $1.3 million list price that you're looking at, well, it's going to cost you $1.617 million to buy that home. So that can be a little bit frustrating. And again, a lot of times that lower pricing strategy is actually going to push those comps up faster than a more accurate pricing strategy. So your $2.5 million, you're going to have a lot of room to work there, but you are going to have to aggressively write against like what the comps are and what the price point is in terms of like going over that price point, and you're going to have to move fast. So let's take a look at what you can buy over there. So 3 bedrooms, 5 baths, and let me just show you where we are real quick. So you're right here near John McLaren Park. You've got the 280 running here. You've got Balboa Park here, which had a lot of like really nice upgrades. You have a little Safeway here, right? So this is at Lisbon and Persia, okay, and the Excelsior. Mission Street has a lot of stuff going on there in terms of restaurants and different things like that. Alemany is like quite a busy street. And then, you know, obviously you could get easily down south to the South Bay if you wanted to. So here's, you know, again, a similar like down to the studs renovation, nicely updated. Kitchen is nice. I don't know what this tile situation is there. Nice skylights throughout. Downstairs kind of family area. Little cute puppy. It's a nice big family area. Nice big outdoor yard. And then you get to go upstairs. So here you go downstairs. Sorry, the photo order is a little confusing. So it looks like you're coming right off of the main living space into the yard, which is amazing. Nice big yard. And then there's your bedroom level, which appears to be on a different level. So it looks like you have an up and a downstairs area. I'm not fully following these pictures. They're a little all over the place. Let's see if we can find a floor plan in here. Gym and laundry area. Don't you guys think that it should be like illegal to sell real estate without a floor plan? It kind of drives me crazy. And I feel like we're just like, no floor plan. That's a bummer. So here's the thing, same budget, both turnkey, both detached. The Parkside home is 1,834 square feet at $1,279 a square foot. And the Excelsior home is 2,835 square feet at $785 per square foot. So that's 1,000 more square feet, 2 more bathrooms, and just like a whole lot of extra living space. So that's something to consider. You know, I think the Excelsior is not like on everyone's radar, but actually there's really great weather there, like super good weather, much better weather than Parkside, and you get a lot more house. So a few things to know about Excelsior. It can be older housing stock. There is an older vintage there than the Sunset. There's true Edwardians, Victorians, all the way from like 1895 to 1925. So you're gonna have some more corky additions and stuff like that. I think in the Parkside, there's just much more uniformity in terms of like, you know, the house that you're gonna get, the house like I showed you, right? Those like the floor plans are all kind of the same. When you start moving into these other vintages, then a lot of times they are reimagined in all different kinds of ways in terms of how they're added onto and different things like that. But a lot of them are 2 to 3 stories. So again, much bigger houses. There are some hillier streets, so there's some view potential there. There are some, you know, different, depending on where you are, you can get some views. I would say renovation quality is a major wild card. You can buy a $1.6 million home that needs everything, or a $2.2 million home like Lisbon that's done. It's a pretty understated neighborhood. It has a strong community feel, and it's next to the second largest park in San Francisco, which is John McLaren. And there's a lot of great little local mom and pop restaurants and things like that on Mission Street. And it doesn't have the cachet. It's just not as well known as some of these other neighborhoods, but it's definitely a neighborhood worth looking at. Okay, coming up on neighborhood number 3, we have Bernal Heights, and there were 8 sales, so not that different, under 2.5 million this year. And the median closed just over 2 million. So this is the upper end of our sweet spot, right? I would say from what I see, there are many homes selling above 2.5 million in Bernal, but 8 is actually a good number. So we'll show you one, and I would say, you probably want to be focused on homes that are priced in the 1.5, 1.6 price point in order to land at 1.2. But you're gonna get a real house, and it's a genuinely desirable neighborhood because it's both walkable and sunny, and it has good access to the 280. Not the best public transit in the world, but there are some buses who run through there. I thought it was interesting that of the 9 homes that sold, most of them were actually in the low 2 millions, with only one that reached 2.4 and another one at 2.2. As far as the competition tax, it's around 20% over asking. So this neighborhood, it's been a great neighborhood in heavy demand, honestly, as long as I can remember, for 17 years. It is a really desirable neighborhood. Let's take a look at what you get there. Okay, so I toured this home. We had a buyer who we thought was going to be interested in it. I was actually a little surprised that they weren't interested in it, because they were looking specifically in this part of Bernal. Bernal's a neighborhood that's has very different parts within it. They kind of wanted to be closer to this side of Bernal. I think they live right here. But anyway, this is, you've got Bernal Hill here, which is, there's great views that you can walk around this little tiny park, but really nice views up there. Cortlandt Avenue has not a ton. They have some good restaurants and little good shops and a really, really nice community feel. Holly Park is a super cute little park over there. And then, you can bust right out of here down to 280, or, you can jump on Guerrero and kind of get out of the neighborhood. Okay, so let's jump over here so we can see the photos of this. So this was, there's actually 3 bedrooms on top, and then there was a little in-law down below, and I loved that this yard came right off of the main space. This particular house was listed for 1.798, and it sold for 2.4. So that was, 33% over asking, which is higher than we've seen in the average. But again, it all has to do with kind of where it starts. Super, super cute home, really cute street. Let me show you the street view. Let's get away from this little. So a lot of the homes on this particular street don't have parking, which is interesting. Not all, but this heads down to Mission, but it's actually also before I started moving away, was pretty close to Cortlandt. So Bernal it's eclectic. You have a mix, again, more like Victorian, Edwardians, some modern homes, like 50s homes. There's a really, really big mix, and a lot of them have been remodeled, some of them in very quirky ways. It's definitely a mixed bag in terms of updates that you get in the neighborhood, but there's some really nice solid homes. I would say more often than not, you're getting that. It's a different style of home than what you get in Parkside, but most of them are 2 bedrooms up and then another bedroom down, or sometimes you go where the attics in some of these Victorians have been built out, and then you might have some low sloped ceiling or something going on up in the attic space. So the weather there is really, really good. And then, like I said, you have Cortland, you have Presida Park. Presida Park's on the north side. And then you have Holly Park and Bernal Hill is accessible for everybody. I would say it's a neighborhood that sometimes, like, when people get priced out of Noe Valley, they end up going there. But the fact that you can go there and get a house for $2 million or $2.5 million is actually really, really good, because I mean, I would say in Noe right now, like, kind of the entry point is closer to 4 this year. In terms of trade-offs, I would say, like, one of the downsides to Bernal is that some of the streets are really, really tight. I was driving there the other day, and then somehow I ended up on a dirt road, and I was like, where am I and what just happened? And then I'm like, it was wild. So, you know, there's great streets and there's some not so great streets. And so just kind of knowing the block by block differences over there, I think, is important. And there's kind of different vibes for different sections of it. So we've done whole videos on the different sections of Bernal, and of course, happy to walk you through that. But let's keep going. So Outer Richmond is next on our list, and it had 6 sales. There was a median close price of 2.3, so it's the highest on our list. And at 2.5, you're not shopping with a ton of cushion in the bank. So it is going to be a more frustrating neighborhood. So I would definitely not have it be your only neighborhood. Though we do have clients who are really focused on only Outer Mission. A lot of times they're surfers, or they're people who are looking for just the vibe. It has a really, like, very kind of cool artsy surfer vibe out there. And then of course you have the views that are really nice. But let's take a look at what you can get out there. So going into what you can get in the Richmond, let's take a look. Let me show you. This is actually really interesting. This is where I first pulled it up. So this closed in 2021 for 2.450. All of the stats that we're looking at for San Francisco show that we are past 2021, that we are at new highs. But at least based on this particular comp, we're not. So my guess would be this neighborhood is still on sale. Look at this with these nice trees outside. I love that. And this looks like a really nice remodeled home with some ocean views. Let me show you where we are. So you're right near the beach. You're right near Land's End. It's got to be one of the best trails in the world. Like, such a beautiful, beautiful trail. You can hike all the way through there, hike through Sea Cliff, such a beautiful neighborhood. You can hit over into the Presidio, go to Baker Beach. It's just like, so amazing to live near that. And then of course you're living right by the beach. So maybe you're a surfer, maybe not. If not, hopefully you're, at least going down to enjoy the water. And then right near the park, which, like, there's nothing better than being near the park. And then you've got Geary, which is going to give you a road out of there. And there's a lot of great little eateries and different things. This, like I said, this is like a really, really cool vibe out here. And then, but look how far you are from downtown, right? You're really far from downtown. And then you're also, if you're going to the South Bay, you have to deal with 19th Avenue all the way down. So hopefully, if you live out there, you work from home, or you at least drive in and out of the city during off commute times. The other thing I like about that neighborhood is some of the housing stock is newer. So that home that we just looked at, it was actually from 1992, which is like amazing. That like feels like a new house by San Francisco standards. Most of our housing stock is pre-1950s. A lot of it is like early 1900s. So, but Outer Richmond and Outer Sunset actually have like pretty small but very real pockets of like 80s and 90s like contemporary builds, definitely west of 25th Avenue. So if you want like a newer home, and that one looks like it's, been updated since, then that's a good thing to do. Hopefully if you're shopping out there, since the endpoint is 2.3 and we're trying to give you like a $500,000 padding over your budget, hopefully your budget is closer to like 2.8 or 3 in order to keep that keep you from getting really frustrated with the offer processes. Oh, and I can't not mention that, of course, like, it is foggier there. Like, the more that you get out west, the foggier that things are gonna get. But I do feel like it's like one of the things that a lot of people talk about is like it's charming, and then it's sort of I don't know, I've heard people say like it's anti-cool. But it was actually, despite that vibe, it was named one of the 40 coolest neighborhoods in the world by Time Out magazine a couple of years ago, which is a little ironic after the like anti-cool slogan that I heard. I think it's a super cool neighborhood. It has a great vibe. Okay, so something really cool that I want to show you all. Check this out. So we created this website. So if you want to check out a website that's organized by neighborhood, you can just go in here to this website and you get all the videos organized just by neighborhood. And if you head over to the buy page, you can actually just hit this button and literally within 30 seconds, you can be in contact with us. So it's an awesome resource, and we'll leave the link in the description below. So next up is Portola. It had 6 closed sales. The median sales price was $1.68 million, which means at $2.5 million, you have some real breathing room. So you're not at the ceiling, but the competition tax is running about 22% over asking, which tells you that buyers have figured out that this neighborhood is good. So I would say that Portola is probably the best value play on this list for buyers who want the most house for their money and they're willing to be patient and aggressive with their offers. So the price points are lower. The homes tend to be larger, kind of like the Excelsior. It's going to be similar. And the neighborhood has been steadily improving. I think it's a great neighborhood. Let's check out what you can get over there. Okay, so this home sold for $2.1 million. Again, you're back here near McLaren Park. Remember, we were over here at the Excelsior before. Now we are still, we're just like on the other side of McLaren, right? And so this neighborhood, you have all these like college name streets. There's some great views over here. It actually has a really great feel in terms of like, the streets are wide. You've got, some cute houses. As you head down this way, you see the views. So you've got the views over here. Somebody must think they're very important. Lots of people in this neighborhood, apparently. Okay, let's check out the house itself. So it's here. It's 3,100 square feet. Holy, this is a big house. This is like a forever home. And it looks like it's pretty nicely updated for 2.1. Are you kidding me? Nice open floor plan. You get to go upstairs to go to bedrooms, which is usually a more expensive floor plan. Look at that. Views. I think they could have picked a clearer day for photos, but okay. And then you've got a little downstairs area as well. So it's a 3-story home. Your backyard looks like you have to like walk through a little thing to get back over to it. Nice big garage. So 3 bedrooms up, 2 baths up, plus an office. And then downstairs you have 2 more bedrooms, plus a family room and your kitchen. And then on your lowest floor, you have an additional family room, study, an additional bedroom. Like, what a great house. So the Portola home has nearly doubled the square footage of our first neighborhood, the Parkside home. That was 1,837 square feet, remember? And it's $250,000 less, and it's 69 years newer. Granted, that one was like all remodeled, but I mean, Portola is a good deal, right? Definitely worth checking out if you're in this price point. So one small caveat that I want to flag. So this one did sell 24% over asking price. It was listed originally around 1.7 and then went up to that 2.1. So definitely competitive. but a great deal. And the average there was 19% over asking. So it's right in line with the average. Remember, 83% of the sales over there are going above asking. But Portola has the lowest percent above asking of the whole data set that I pulled at 83%, meaning that roughly 1 in 6 Portola sales actually go below list price or at list price. Hard to say without digging in a bit more. So what I love about Portola is that it's one of the few neighborhoods where you can get good views like that, and also really good weather and pretty darn good proximity to get downtown or down to the 280, like either direction. So not as like much of a walkable, like really cool street to walk to, but if you're willing to give that up, you still get the weather and you still get the proximity to get to and from work, which is pretty fabulous, and a really great home. I mean, that home sold for, I think it was like $680 per square foot, which is makes my head hurt. That's really, really good deal. Okay, so the next neighborhood on the list is Sunnyside, and it had 5 sales under 2.5 million. The median was closer to 2.25. So similar competition tax to Bernal, about 20% over asking. You're again back at the top of the budget range here. So ideally your budget is not 2.5, it's 2.8, it's 3, something like that, in order to play in this neighborhood safely without making yourself crazy. Okay, let's take a look at this one. Okay, so this sold for 2.250. It was a 3-bedroom, 3-bath home, 2110 square feet. Cute updates, right? You get a little view. Look at that little nice view. Okay. Ceilings look a little low. Flooring looks a little, maybe not like real wood. You know, not the most high-end updates, but like in this price point, I think it's kind of as good as you can get. Little family room, very little family room. Enough for a TV, but walk out into the yard. That's cute. Nice big yard. Wow, really big yard. Cannot read that floor plan. It's cute. So that one was $10.66 a square foot. I think it sold for a lower price per square foot over there, just based on the proximity to the freeway. There was 2 parking spots. So here's kind of a little fun fact, is the original home was built in 1924. It was 968 square feet, 2-bedroom. And the home that I showed you is 2110 square feet, and it's a 3-bedroom. So basically the home has been more than doubled in size, and you know, you're effectively looking at like a new home. With some of these homes, that can be a great way. Like, I don't think they changed the footprint of the home. I think they went into the garage. So that can be a great way to also save some money and get in, is like maybe buy a 2-bedroom home that you're going to expand downstairs. And in a lot of the neighborhoods that we're looking in today, there are a lot of, like, you know, in the Sunset and the Parkside and stuff like that, there are a lot of these garages that haven't been fully built out, and you can build stairs down into there. And then in doing those updates within the footprint, it is pretty easy with permits. It's an over-the-counter permit. And then because the walls and the foundation and everything are built out, it's not that expensive, relatively speaking. So remember, I told you Sunnyside was the one neighborhood that 100% of the homes sold over asking. So that's going to mean that, you know, the agents who are listing most commonly over there figured it out. They're pricing low to go high. And so you're going to have to be ready to compete over there as well. The next neighborhood on the list is Central Sunset. So Central Sunset only had 4 homes in this range, so lower value, but the median cost was $1.75 million. So again, this neighborhood gives you some cushion, and it's pretty approachable. It's going to feel very similar to Parkside. It's going to feel a little further out. Let's take a look at a comp over there. Okay, so this one is on 27th Avenue. Let's take a look at where we are. So we're actually not very far from the Parkside. Remember the Parkside home, I think it was on 29th, and it was here, but it was considered Parkside versus Inner Sunset. So this is not very different at all. I think, I'm not sure exactly where the line is. It must be here. It's going to be, I would look on Google Maps. It's different on Google Maps than it is on, it's different on Google Maps than it is on the MLS map. So not much different to tell you about the neighborhood here than Parkside. It's going to be very, very similar. You know, with the Sunset, you pay a lot more as you go over to this side. I feel like the inner side is kind of the messy middle, for lack of a better term. Like, I feel like there's more going on out here, all the way out here, than there is like in the middle. There's less. And then obviously, you know, in this section in Inner Sunset, there's a ton going on. And Inner Sunset is very, very, very hot right now. But there's a lot of these, again, like developed homes. So this doesn't look that different than the one that we saw on 29th. Some of these homes I think can look like very generic, but for not that much money, at least you're getting new plumbing, new wiring. And for not that much money, you could actually give them a little bit more personality very easily. So it's nice to have kind of, I guess, a blank canvas to start with. I mean, the construction, it's not super, super high end, but you're not going to get that for $1.9 million, which is what this sold for. So overall, a nice home, 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, $975 a square foot. So pretty good there. Okay, so I'm not going to go into all of these today, but there was a few other ones. Inner Sunset, there were 3 sales over there, but I'm telling you, $2.5 million is not going to cut it for you in the Inner Sunset. So those were basically like teardowns. So I would throw that out the window. Crocker Amazon is another one. It's going to be very similar to the Excelsior and Portola. It's kind of in that same district. There were 3 there. I just think there's not enough turnover there, but I would keep that on your radar. There's some really cute pockets of Crocker Amazon. The median there was 1.5 million. Mission Terrace is another great one that should absolutely be on your neighborhood in the below 2.5. Again, similar to the Excelsior, it's a little closer. It is closer to Glen Park. In some certain parts of Mission Terrace, you can like walk over into Glen Park. So I think it's a very good value play neighborhood. There were 3 sales in Mission Terrace. I would definitely keep that neighborhood on your radar as well. Again, I think that whole District 10 section is going to be a very good section for you to focus on in this price point. You can do some stuff in Parkside, which probably has like more cachet, maybe more well-known, but not that much, you know? And then you give up the weather. Another neighborhood that would be good to focus on if you don't mind weather, don't mind walkability, but is more centrally located is Midtown Terrace. There were 3 sales there. The average was 2.35 million. They are doing a lot of underpricing there as well. Average price over ask was 25%. So high competition tax. And then the Bayview also had 3 sales. That's going to be your most affordable entry-level single-family home neighborhood. At 1.25 was the median price for the Bayview. So those are the 7 neighborhoods where you can get a single family home for your $2.5 million budget. And there's some good options out there. Before I close out, I want to spend about 60 seconds on the flip side, the neighborhoods where this budget does not go, because I know that up front, it's going to save you a lot of time and frustration. So at $2.5 million, the Marina, Pacific Heights, Cow Hollow, Russian Hill, Noe Valley, and all of the surrounding neighborhoods, they're off the menu for single family homes based on the data. So knowing that up front, I'm hoping to save you months of time on wasted offers. If those neighborhoods are non-negotiable, then definitely we can talk to you about TICs and condos. And I would be happy to jump on and talk about that, or I can do another video on that at another time. So I think there's like a framework that you can set. So just kind of like a matrix. And so I think there's a framework that you can kind of set. There's a wide variety of neighborhoods on there. So one way to think about it is if you want sun, then Bernal, Sunnyside are great neighborhoods. Also, so are the neighborhoods in District 10 that I mentioned, you know, Portola, Excelsior. The sun there is really, really good. If you want walkability, I'd say Bernal and Outer Richmond are your best bets. People don't probably think of Outer Richmond as walkable, but there is actually some stuff out there. If your commute matters, I think it kind of depends on where you're at, but like actually a lot of the District 10 neighborhoods are pretty good. Bernal is pretty good. You know, I'm assuming when I say like commute, they are either going downtown or to the South Bay. So those are probably some of the best neighborhoods to focus on. If space is your priority, then again, some of those District 10, especially like looking in the Excelsior or Portola, those were some big homes to think about. So you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. So if you want to learn more about these neighborhoods, check out our playlist. We've done videos on almost all of these. And if you have requests on which neighborhoods to cover next, please leave it for me in the comments below.